guys, it's Jessica from craftedandstampin.blogspot.com, and today I wanted to show you the next project I'm making in my mini series of craft show projects and little creations that you can make to give to family, friends, teachers, neighbors, coworkers, or sell at craft shows. So today's little project is actually going to be, and hold on, I apologize, I put the glue down on this the other night, our lip balm purse. And it's super easy, very fast to make. There's a few things you do need. For starters, I am using the Snow Haven paper pack from my Close to My Heart store. I also am using some of the gold bling gems, which are probably one of my favorite things that came out in this new catalog. I am also using the awesome Hostess Only Be Jolly stamp set, and it's just, I love this stamp set. I really do, and I think a lot of people would like this stamp set. The only way you can get it is if you become a hostess. So ask me, message me down below, comment down below, and let me know you'd like to host your own online party, or even if you have an order that would be 150 or more, you can create your own gathering, and I'll make sure you get your hostess rewards, because the only way to get this is by being a hostess. So I'm using this stamp set. I'm also using my 2x2 stamp block, and as you can see, I've already used this stamp quite a bit. You will need our archival black ink, because we're going to be using the new Shin Hand Twin Touch markers, and we don't want it to smear or anything, so that's why we want to do the archival ink. I'm actually going to be using the Carmine and the Sap, oops, can you see that? Sap Green. So those are the two colors we're going to use. And we're also going to be using cranberry ink and a sponge dauber. And what you will need is a scoreboard, a paper trimmer, and you're also going to need to use a razor blade, okay? I also have my Balm folder out because I like to reinforce my folds. So let's go ahead. Oh, and the other thing you're going to need is a ruler. I myself think the best thing you need for this is our grid mat, or our Versamat, because it's got all the grid lines, the measurements and whatnot. It just makes it super easy. And then I have a T-square, and look, it goes perfectly right down and it's staying straight. So that's what we're going to do. Now what you need to do is you need to pick out the paper that you want to use, and you are going to make sure that it goes vertically, the paper that you want, okay? Because it's going to fold up like this. So whatever design you choose, we want to make sure that we are going to cut 3.5 inches wide, and we're going to cut 5, and I believe it's 5 3/4. Yep, 5 3/4 long. Okay, so we have it at 3.5 by 5 3/4. And then what we're going to do is, once we cut out the piece that we want, we need to make a secondary piece. Now this is going to be the inside, and this is what we're going to be cutting with our razor blade to hold the chapstick in there. Now the same piece needs to be the exact same measurements. It's going to wind up being 3.5 by 5 3/4, okay? And then once we have them both cut, we can go ahead and get our scoreboard out. And what we're going to wind up doing is we are going to score at 2.5 and 3.25, okay, once we get this all done. And that way it has, like, it folds like this. Can you see? I think this is actually a really good view with my camera holding it like that. So once again, we want to go ahead and score at 2.5 inches, and then we're going to score at 3.25 inches, okay? Then you're going to take, so this was our cover, our pattern piece, and then we're going to take our solid base, and we're going to be doing scoring at 2.5 and 3.25 once again. Now, what you can do with this piece is just put to the side for right now, okay? And now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get this piece ready to hold our chapstick. So go ahead and get your T-square, or ruler, or whatever you feel comfortable with, and then like I said, I'm using my Versamat. You just need a self-healing mat, but our Versamat is awesome, just so you know, because you can cut on one side and stamp on the other side. It's just great. So what you need to do is line up your solid base piece, okay? Now I have my base piece lined up. I'm going to take my T-square over it. Now what I want to do is I want to make sure that I move down 1¼ inches from the top. Okay, so I know, and this is where I love this grid mat, because I can see, oops, I guess I should move it up a little more so that way you guys can see what I'm doing. I can see exactly where my 1¼ inch line is, just by counting my little square. So I know I'm at 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 3/4 of an inch, 1 inch, 1¼ inches. So I want to go down 1¼ inches, and I am going to start at my 2½ inch score line. Let me just double check that. Yep, that's my 2½ inch score line, correct. Okay, so let's go ahead and get lined up again. So we are going to start at our 2½ inch score line. We're going to be down 1¼ inches from the top of our sheet, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to start here, and we are going to go over 1¼ of an inch. So for me, I see I'm starting at 4¼ inches. I want to make sure my line stops at 5½ inches, which with my ruler, it lines up to be 6 inches. So I am okay with that. So let's go ahead. Whoops, I lied. Let's line up here. 4 inches, 1¼ inch. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and make my slice. So I'm going to stop at 5¼ inches. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go the exact same thing. I'm going to move up 1¼ inches, which actually winds up being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It winds up being the width of my ruler because my ruler is 1 inch wide. So all I'm going to do is once again start at my 2½ inch score line and move over 1¼ inches. Okay. Now, after you're done that, you can put your ruler away, and you can take your razor blade and make sure you cover it up. And then we're going to make sure that they went all the way through, which mine did, but it looks like it's stopped. So I'm just going to go back and just reinforce this cut. Sometimes that'll happen. Not a big deal. You just go back over it. There we go. Now, it just didn't cut all the way. So now that we have this done, okay, what we're actually going to do is push out our score, okay? And by that, think of like mountain fold, valley fold, okay? So we know that this is going to fold in, and we know this is going to fold in, and we're going to pop our piece up. So we have valley, mountain, valley fold. See how it looks like this? And you're going to go ahead and take your lip balm, and you can put it right through. And see, if you go any wider than 1¼ of an inch, it's actually going to not fit in snug. So that's why we only want to do 1¼ inch slice with our razor blade. So now that we have that done, let's just kind of push this right to the side, and let's go ahead and decorate our front piece. Now, what I already did was, if you already have this Be Jolly stamp set, I mean, you could use any stamp set. I'm just going off of what I have. Like I said, I already went ahead and stamped this. Now, what I did was I just took a piece of our White Daisy cardstock and I cut it at 2 by 2. Okay, I made a 2 by 2 square, and I used the 'Tis the Season to Be Jolly stamp set. Once again, it's not screaming Christmas. It's not screaming anything. I do have friends that celebrate Hanukkah. I have friends that don't celebrate at all. But I just want to give them something. So 'Tis the Season to Be Jolly is very, very non-specific for me. So I stamped it in our archival black ink, just like this. Stamped it in, popped it right onto my White Daisy cardstock, or stamped it down. And then what I did was I took, like I said, our new Shin Hand Twin Touch markers, and I took the carmine color, and I took the fine point, and I colored in my Jolly. And I've already done this just for time's sake. And then I also took the sap green, and I used my fine point once again, and I just colored in my leaves. And what I kind of wanted to do was see if I could go over the berries, because they came out black because I used the archival black ink, but I'm just going to see if I can just do a tinge of red, and that way people can pick up on that. So after I got that done, I'm going to take my sponge dauber, which I love these things, and I'm going to take my cranberry ink, and I'm just going to ink around the edges of my 2-inch by 2-inch square that I made with my stamped image. Okay. So once that's done, you can go ahead, get your ink away, get your dauber away so you don't get it smearing on anything. And now we can go ahead and get this decorated. Because I want to pop up my stamped image, and because I'm actually going to be using the bling gems, which kind of stick up a little bit, I'm not going to decorate it just yet. What I want to do next is I'm going to take my piece, and I'm going to, as you see here, I created a little strap to make it like a little lip balm purse, okay? So before I get this together, I want to go ahead and get my little strap piece cut out. And what I'm going to do is about, how big does that wind up being? Oh, that's perfect. Do about a 6.5-inch piece of any color ribbon that you want that matches your paper. So for me, I actually just have this, it's almost like a paper ribbon. It's really, I don't know, I've had it, it was in my stash, and I'm just going to go with that and just use it. What I'm going to do is get it stapled down to my little black piece. And then when I put this over, you won't see where it's kind of hidden at. Do you know what I'm saying? So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my mini stapler, and I'm going to make sure I line up my little ribbon how I want it. And I think I'm going to do it like this. Okay. And I'm going to have this show through on this side. Okay, see how it's stapled there? And then I'm going to do the same thing over here. Maybe made it a little bit too long. There we go. It's really hard to do this while you're on the camera. There we go. So I've got my little staples in. I've got this done. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get these two pieces adhered. I am going to tell you that for me, because I want it to stay together, I'm going to use double-sided tape. You could use ATG, you could use our Bonding Memories glue. I myself just feel like this makes it stay on better, and the reason why I say that is people are very hands-on at craft shows, so they want to touch it, they want to see what it's like. I don't want it to break before it's purchased. Same with if I'm giving it to a coworker, 9 times out of 10, I just throw things in my handbag and it could be very disheveled in there. So I don't want it to get ruined. So that's why I'm going to use the double-sided tape. Now, whenever I use double-sided tape, I always like to make sure I'm enforcing it on there. So I take my scoring tool and I just burnish it really hard. Ooh, I gotta be careful because I have a big giant cup of coffee on my desk here and I don't want it to spill onto my stuff. Okay, now once I do that, I'm actually gonna do, where is it? There's my little weeding tool. Here it is. I'm going to use this to actually get the tape up because, once again, we all know I don't have any nails. And it'll just come up quicker. If my hands weren't sticking all over it, that is. Ah! Okay, so now we want to make sure that we line this up perfectly. I'm going to do one corner down, followed by the other corner down. Oh, I hope I'm not. Okay. Oops, and that moved a little bit on me. Okay. And then I'm just going to try to maneuver it all, and I think I did. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to burnish once again to make sure I get that really, really good attachment between the double-sided tape and the other piece of cardstock. And especially up here where I used my ribbon. I just want to make sure I'm really going over that well. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead, kind of fold a little bit. I'm going to just go over my score lines just a bit. Okay. Now, oops, we can go ahead and get our chapstick and we can put it in there. Now, like I said, I know my guests are very hands-on, the ones I've run into at craft shows. So I'm going to take some of our glue dots and I'm just going to put one on each end just to make sure it stays in there. Okay, I don't want it to go missing in transit, if you will. So I'm just going to make sure I get it in. Go in, and then once I have it in here, I'm going to go ahead. What is going on here? Oops, it already stuck, and I didn't mean for that to happen. There it goes. And once it's in, I like to have it showing a little bit there. And I can fold it up. Okay, now the next piece we're going to do is actually take one more glue dot, and we're going to seal this closed with it. Just takes one little glue dot right in the center, and it's done. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to grab our bling gems, and I'm going to use my tweezers. Oops. And I'm going to go ahead and get some bling on. I'm also going to take my 'Tis the Season, and I'm going to get some foam tape, and I'm going to get it on pretty well, I hope. And I just think it looks cuter. I just love foam tape. That makes everything better for me. I actually think I like this to be the front. And there we go. Don't mind my phone ringing in the background. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take some of my bling gems and just pop them right on, just like this. Oops. And there we go. All done. Super cute. Very easy. Oops, this isn't even. Let's try and make that even, shall we? Takes no time to pop out a few of these guys, get them done, and this is another item you can use for a craft show sale. And they're fun, easy, and everybody loves to be able to have little cute gifts on hand when they have guests for the holidays. So thank you so much for watching. I'll make sure I put a link to my blog down below that will also have this video and will list all of the supplies that I used. And I will also put a link to my Close to My Heart online store so you can go ahead and purchase these goodies. If you purchase the items to make these, I'll make sure I scan and email you a copy of my template, because I have a template that I use for these, and that way I just keep it every year and I quick take a look at it and it's good to go, and I can go ahead and just cut out and go. So this is it. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to check out tomorrow when I have another part of my mini series. So thanks for watching. Hope to catch you crafting and stamping. Bye.